Hi everyone, welcome back again to Spiritual Growth Tarot and Astrology. This is your weekly astrological reading for the transits going from Sunday, the June 18th to the 24th, Saturday. And right in the middle of the week on the 21st, we have the summer solstice coming in. Yay! So anyway, let me swap out cameras here and show you the charts. Take you through it one day at a time. Okay, hold on. Okay, so for today, Sunday, it's important to remember that we're coming off of the new moon, and also that, of course, we have the moon up here trining Saturn. So at least for today, we have, well, this grand water trine right here, with the sun, it's still in Gemini until Wednesday, I think. We have... that's not in the orb there, but see this, well, both the sun and the moon are trining the south node. So that brings in a lot of illumination to the past. Thinking Gemini, deeply and sensitively with the moon in Cancer. About the past and how we can transform the past and how well are things working based on what we know, what we've experienced, and what we're integrating. And with the trine up here to Saturn and Pisces, that's still retrograde, of course, we're in that mix of, well, we're in immersion of some type of foundational learning. Some type of, for each one of us, it's going to be unique and different. It's a little redundant, but uniquely experiencing the soul growth that needs to happen and how we feel about ourselves, how we are growing through our healing our emotional body, I guess is a better way to say it. And we have to remember, with Saturn retrograde, this is all internal. It's more of an inner shift. It's much slower than the moon. But for the next few days, through Thursday, we have this grand water trine. Because soon the sun will be in Cancer, and then this is a building aspect all week, well, through Thursday, which is nice. I think it'll be really nice. So another thing that's important is to notice that just today and tomorrow, we have this sextile here from Venus to Mercury. So Venus here at 11 degrees Leo, right? So Venus and Leo, we are feeling everything, and our core energy has an opportunity when Venus is in Leo, because Venus is ruled by is ruled by the sun, and Venus is our planet of unification. So we have an opportunity to unify with our spirits, with our solar essence, right, in our hearts. So this should be really good. Opportunities come through with sextiles, and with Mercury, we're in that realm of being able to think and learn and learn more about ourselves and what we want and what makes us feel more invigorated or energized, I guess is a better word. And so that's a really nice, it's just for a couple days to have this, this tight orb, because both of these planets move pretty darn quickly, especially Mercury. So that's something to take advantage of for today and tomorrow. And then there's even more, because you can see these two quincunxes, these two 150-degree lines here going from the sun and the moon to Pluto, and that's there through Thursday. And so this will be adjustments. This is here through Thursday to help us learn more about how we really feel, And does our thinking, because, see, there's that thing there. Here's the deal when it comes to the difference between Gemini and Cancer. With Gemini, we're learning and we think we got it. And I'm not saying that if you're a Gemini that you don't get it. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that every time we have the sun move through the sign of Gemini, we have an opportunity to learn even more. And this new moon that we've just had has probably really helped us learn even more because it was in that later degree of almost 27 degrees. And now it is in 27 degrees, and but the moon's moving away, of course, there. But this new moon aspect has been very helpful to make adjustments as to what our soul really, really wanted to bring through, because Capricorn brings things into physical reality, physical manifestation. Taurus and Virgo do as well, but Taurus and Virgo really help us, the other earthly signs of Taurus and Virgo really help us embody and then cut the wheat from the Taurus embodiment, and then Virgo cutting the wheat from the chaff, however you say that, I don't even know. I haven't been a farmer this lifetime. I'm sure I was in my last few, but not this one. Anyway, however you've been working with manifesting and then fine-tuning it with Virgo, now with this connection here to Pluto and Capricorn, that really does help us to get into the integrity, or how well we're doing from manifesting in our integrity. If we're coming from who we truly are, and we've done our best to do right by ourselves and others, and tell the truth, and when we caught ourselves, not being so truthful with ourselves, right? Because you really have to know yourself well in order to be in your own deeper truth. And for the most part, human beings, we pretty much make a lot of mistakes, and we realize later on, if I had myself there, I would have handled this differently. But we find ourselves, through the mirror of relationship with others. So that's why it's always a good idea to just bring things back home to yourself and not project out onto others. So there's that going on a deep soul level with this Pluto retrogradation back to Capricorn for this time being. So that's on the table, as well as, of course, the whole backdrop. Don't forget the Pluto squaring the nodes here, and Eris is involved. So for long term, this aspect is happening until December 7th, and that brings in the power struggles. And like I keep saying, if you're a dirty politician or a dirty judge, things are gonna come out, you're gonna fall down. Are you gonna get up and tell the truth and move on and say you're sorry and you've learned your lesson? Or are you gonna go down kicking and screaming and getting bloody all along the way, because you're just gonna be drugged by reality? Because Pluto and Capricorn is reality. It's gravity. You can't get away from it. So, And then Eris, of course, I'll keep repeating, is in this square to Pluto. So Eris are our feminine courage that knows the right way to go, because you're thinking about what you might be receiving, and you're also receiving the power plays in your sonar, radar, antenna, whatever, psychic field. you're figuring things out on your own if you're paying attention to politics. And if you're not, and it's just astrology, then you'll really pay attention to, well, either way. You know, if you don't want to pay attention to politics and you just focus in on your own life, you will be receiving more and more and more deep in your bones what exactly is going on and what you need to be more courageous about and assert yourself, you know, with, or things will come up in your life and you will go, oh yeah, okay, so I have to move forward with this, and I have to set a boundary here, I have to do my own thing here, and I can still love everyone just the way they are, but I'm going to move forward, right? You don't have to maybe argue with it anymore. You're just going to go, oh yeah, I see it, I see the pattern, and it's not changing, so I'm moving on. So that you can plan on being strongly up in your face until Christmas Day before it starts moving through. So let's see, what else as far as long-term? This Neptune sextile to Pluto here. This lasts until October 22nd. I think I've been saying that every week. So again, that is our spiritual source. This is our opportunity to grow our souls coming from our spiritual source. And if we're not focused in on that, then we might have opportunities to heal power and control issues as long as we don't fall into the trap of victim consciousness, which blames the other person and projects the issue out onto them. We grow the fastest if we bring everything back home to our own belief system, and then, like I was starting to say earlier, with the sun in Gemini, we're thinking about it, but the moon will, in Cancer, for the next couple, 2.5 days, will teach us whether or not our emotional body believes what our head is telling us. And this is where, you hear people say, body-mind connection. Yeah, you can work through something there, because that's the thing is, something's right or wrong when it comes to a belief, right? But then you have this other emotional thing going on in the background going, wait, but that's not how I feel, because I really feel like whatever your feeling is. And feelings need to be validated because you can't stuff them down. They are very, very powerful. Very powerful. So when we get honest, and we have this inconjunct to help us do that, when we get really honest to what's going on, then we can deeply heal something in our souls and move forward. So that is on the table, and that's actually a really nice thing. Jupiter is still here, hooked up with the North Node for a little bit longer, bringing through, and because it's opposing the South Node. This will be done by the 23rd, so by Friday. It's a separating aspect from the North Node, and especially because the North Node's going back this way. So anyway, what that brings in is healing the past. Jupiter is always healing our belief system and what we will invest ourselves in. It helps us to move beyond the pain of the past. So in this situation, I'm feeling like it might help to, we might have opportunities and an ease. Then again, an opposition can sometimes bring through a big confrontation, but it can lead to a breakthrough. But where I feel like we're headed is forgiving the past and but not forgetting, right? We don't, because if we totally forget what happened, then we could repeat that mistake. But then again, when you bring it back to yourself and see it as a lesson that we've needed to go through, whatever it is, then then there's really nothing even to forgive, because, when it comes to personal relationships, if you look at a person coming into your life for a little while that maybe even hurt you deeply, or brought in tons and tons of light, and then maybe they had to move away, or maybe they died, maybe they crossed over. There's still all that love and joy that you can connect with for the time, that you were with them. So it's things like that. Jupiter opens us up in a new way. And in Taurus, it's in our bodies. It's in our complete, energy field. Because Taurus rules the neck and the throat, there's a real possibility that you find your voice. And you've been finding your voice with this transit, and the breakthroughs are coming. And your voice doesn't have to be vocal. I mean, it can be through the written word. I mean, it does, it is your voice. But it can be through words, or through singing, and through speaking. Also, actions. I know Taurus is fixed and doesn't really want to move very quickly, but when you get in touch with what your real values are, things open up in a whole new way, because it helps you stabilize something in your life. So, okay, let's look at, let's focus here on Venus and Mars. They're going to be cooking together. I mean, they're not going to ever be like a real tight orb, because Mars is going to move forward. Venus is connected, though, until July 19th. But this square back here to Jupiter, can you see? It's a little tricky. Yeah, let's see, with this, so 11 to 6. Yeah, so we've got a couple things going on. And they're not tight yet, but they're coming in. So we'll see it in the next chart as well. But see Jupiter, how Jupiter is 6 degrees to Venus here. So 6 to 11, we've got 5 degrees of separation going on there. So that brings in the expansion, and then you've made decisions through your heart. So you've been exposed and you've had some expansion, and now you're deciding whether or not to, because Venus can make these like comparisons about what you value. So if you don't feel a heart connection, I don't think you're going to really be grabbing a hold of it, whatever it is. But we've had a bit of a tension field going on there with the square. Now, Uranus here, with this square to Mars, see how Uranus is at 21 and Mars is at 16. So Mars is cooking its energy this way, and we have an applying aspect coming in here with the square to, when Mars gets to 21 degrees, we will have an exact square to Uranus. And that'll happen, well, the square is in orb until July 5th. But this, Venus, and with this tension field, this is coming in on the 22nd and then through the 13th of July. So you might want to make some notes that because of this aspect, you might have some exciting new changes in ways to beautify your surroundings, because both Leo and Taurus are, well, Taurus is very grounded, but Leo's very just out there shining the light. And so these aspects together are really, really good, even though it's a square, but a square is it's something we can work with. We're in this tension field. And so there can be work. This is really good for art, really good for anything to do with the voice, Uranus brings in changes and openings and at least a new level of awareness, but it can be very freeing. So there can be a freeing of the heart after a large, or a great good, type of a period of trying to figure out what you really love, what you really want to do to earn a living on one level. What relationships really do you want to work with? Because Mars is about energy and moving forward. There's desire within that planet. There's it's what motivates us. It's what gets us going. So, and then sometimes it can be kind of competitive, especially with Uranus. But if we're inside of win-win situations rather than trying to be above or better than, but you might have, there might be something to come up to, coming through to heal, which there's nothing wrong with that. Don't judge yourself at all. You just notice, just take note. I always like to go with the rule that, I want to identify what's going on within me, but I don't really want to identify with it, right? It's just something transitory and temporary that's passing through. But if it keeps coming up over and over and over again, and there's pain or anger or frustration or blockages, like, oh, I'm here again, that's okay. Just take responsibility for it and work with it and work it through, because there's available life force. And that is exactly what Mars is all about. We're talking available life force within the heart and the core solar essence that has an opportunity to unify and create more freedom in your life. So that's wonderful. Let's see, and then back to Mars here. See this trine to Chiron? And see how Mars is at 16 and Chiron's at 19? What's happening here is some grace and ease to move forward if you're coming from your gifts. If you're coming from your inner gifts, we are going to be more courageous and more loving and more caring, I think, as well. As long as you're coming from the heart, but you're wanting to move forward coming from love rather than fighting, then we're good. But when it comes to these politicians that are out there just, I don't know, maybe they're making a bid for their political run in, I don't know, 8 years or 10 years or whatever, but there's not a snowball's chance in hell they're going to win this one. But meanwhile, they're putting their stuff out there. That's, because there's the opportunity. So it's the beginning of something that could come to fruition later. But yeah, and then of course there are some that are just going to rigidly hold on to. They're not going to be get with the program. They're just going to hold on to the ways of the past. And Pluto's up there in Capricorn retrograde. That's going to take care of him most likely. So, and them that are aligned with him. Okay, so let's see. Moving forward, what else? I'm looking at, we've spoken to the ground water trine. For today, we can see that the Sun and Venus are square to Neptune. The Sun is exactly square Neptune. So this might be a day where, and it's Sunday, where you don't feel like doing much. And that's okay, especially in the morning. And because, Neptune and Pisces is really dreamy. Maybe you've worked your butt off all week. Maybe you worked really hard yesterday to get things done so that you could have this day off. And it's really a day off. And it's good to be, focused in on how you're feeling. With the moon newly in Cancer, which is why I ran the chart at 5 a.m. instead of 6. I wanted to get that 0 degrees. If you do wake up early, you might feel very drawn to being a domestic god or goddess for the day, because that's pretty much what Cancer does. Cancer is really, really good for the taking care of stuff around the house and nurturing everything, trying to get things safe and secure. Yeah. And maybe there's something that came through in dream time, because Neptune to Cancer, I'm sorry, Pisces, well, shoot, both. Pisces to Cancer and Neptune to the moon, that can bring in something through dream time that gives you messages from the past that can help you wake up and realize, oh, yeah, so I can relate to that, but it was way in the past, and I'm clearing it out. You could get these, like I call them postcards from the past, or postcards from the subconscious, that remind you actually how far you've come, and it's really nice, because if you just look at how you've evolved over this one lifetime, it's nice to pat yourself on the back every once in a while. And, Venus and Mars together in Leo can help you to do that, to see yourself and see how far you've come. Things like things that you're not attached to anymore. That's always nice to notice, because that shows the level of work and commitment you've been, or the level of commitment and the work you've been doing, it's always nice. And then you can see this Sun-Moon conjunction here, trining the South Node, that again, there's that coming through transformation of the past, clearing out. The Sun shines a light, and the Moon in Cancer can really help just let the feelings flow through. And then because of the double sextile we've got going on here to the North Node, and to Eris, that can really help us move forward, because we have courage and stabilization coming through there. So we can have a real pivot point going on, and something that can help you plan for the future with these aspects. Yeah, so that looks good. Okay, let's see, anything else? I think I can move on to the next chart now. Yeah, let's go. Okay, so for Monday, you can see the moon has already made it to 13 degrees Cancer, and it is in a nice, it's still in trine to Saturn. So there's some integration with the feelings and our spirituality, creativity, anything we've devoted ourselves to. Just think of Pisces as being music, art, spirituality, empathy, the things that we devote ourselves to. Now, there with this over the last day or so with that trine, because we had this water trine going on, and so this whole day, Sunday, and then coming through Monday. Sunday might be a harder day for some people who've been trying to give up things that aren't good for them. So hang in there. And just know that it'll pass. It's always like one moment at a time that if we've been tracking what works and what doesn't for our bodies, or dosages, or like if you're on any type of medication, or you're using anything recreationally, you might notice that there's a limit that you can, maybe you can do a little bit, but you certainly can't do that much. And you might find that edge between Sunday and Monday here, because the moon in Cancer certainly is sensitive. Saturn in Pisces will be, oh my goodness, between Neptune and Saturn in Pisces, we are really much, much more sensitive than ever. And that's a good thing. It's a really good thing, because it helps us with our empathy and our bodies opening up psychically. So, okay, let's see. What else? Jupiter here, see this sextile here and the trine here, that aspect of the architect. Notice how it's exact today. This leg of it is exact today. It's going to come out of orb with the south node, but we do have this exact sextile through July 1st. So that's really nice because this is the opportunity here to grow beyond the addictions, grow beyond, well, that for sure for some people, well, on one level, it's to grow beyond addictions. On another level, it is, this aspect here is good for building a new future that is very solid. Because remember, Saturn and Jupiter are the builders of the zodiac. Very solid because it's built from your inner being. It's built from your spiritual self. It's built from your spiritual essence rather than your soul trauma. But, you know, we all have to work through the soul trauma to bring our soul completely in alignment with our spirits. Okay, so then what else for today? You know what, I haven't, did I talk about Chiron trining? Because we've got that 17 degrees there, 19 degrees here. And this has, this aspect has been here since June 11th, and it's going to stay within orb until July 3rd. So, yeah, I think I did speak to that, because so this is that really good time to move forward with our gifts and allow our inner gifts to surface from our spirit. So we have a double theme going on here between Saturn and Jupiter and Chiron and Mars to support our spiritual growth, which is really nice. Let's see. The other thing is, when it comes to Jupiter, we have this connection to the North Node that's going to be out by June 23rd, by Friday. So we really want to, you know, work on expanding, but in the areas that really matter to you. Really matter to you. Let's see. Oh, the moon trine there. We have the moon squaring. Yeah, and it's an applying square. So if the moon's at 13, remember in Cancer, it's about safety, security, things around the home, everything that you're feeling, healing the emotional body. And with the square to Chiron, that's applying. So today is a really, really good day, because these are both, you know, cardinal, both of these signs, Aries and Cancer, are both cardinal energy, so it's movement oriented. So it's a good day to move forward instinctually, coming from Chiron and Aries, with your gifts, bringing your gifts through. This is a really good day to bring your gifts through on Monday, or to at least work with them. Maybe you just bring them through for yourself, and then they're shared later on. So, okay, let's see. And you can see that, you know, the quincunx from the Sun to Pluto is still going on, like I said, through Thursday. Okay, let's go ahead and move to Tuesday. So with Tuesday, you can see the moon is almost through the sign of Cancer. We still have another 4 degrees, or almost. But we do have a square going on to the nodes, right? So now the moon, and so we actually have a grand square going on between the nodes and Pluto. See how we've got the moon opposing Pluto? So today, this feels to me like the feelings and the deeper subconscious feelings of the soul will be up for healing. And we are going to be feeling into the past and trying to discern through our emotional bodies if we want to stay on the track we're on, or if we want to change, make some changes. Because remember, change is up, for this time period with Venus and Mars squaring to Uranus. Change is just definitely in the air, in our bodies, and we're gonna get to, with the moon illuminating something from within. We might have some confrontations with our own power, bumping up against someone else trying to control us, or we might find that we've noticed, ooh, I'm a little too controlling in that department and I need to step back and stay in my own damn lane here. Might be something like that. And the moon is also in the trine, to Neptune. So we have our spiritual support here with Neptune to help us heal or come into deeper connection with our intuitive abilities, because Cancer is very intuitive. And with that square to the South Node in Scorpio and the North Node in very physical, Taurus, and then also the moon is squaring Eris. So we actually see those 3 red lines right there, all to the moon. So it's Chiron, Eris, and the North Node. That's very, very powerful. So as long as we're not coming from, well, it doesn't matter. Even if we are deeply connected to our wounding and soul trauma from the past, as long as we don't project that out onto someone else and try to control them because of it, as long as we take things deeply back into ourselves and we take self-responsibility, is what I'm always trying to say, then we'll be fine. But we're in this, it's like, I know this is a grand square, but I'm kind of seeing a wheel. It's like if you're driving your own vehicle, if you're sailing your own vessel, you're doing the right work. But if you're going to project how you get to places and what you experience as you go onto other people, then you're not going to figure out how to work, how to, you're going to hit some other cars, or you're going to have some bumpy rides sailing, have some stormy seas. So yeah, but it still, it doesn't feel bad to me at all. It feels like learning lessons, and the tension field that could be experienced will be very strengthening when you get through it, because squares just, they just help you work out things, basically. So we're working something out on Tuesday. Let's see, anything else to the moon? No, I think that's it. So let's go to Wednesday. And Wednesday we have our first day of summer. In the northern hemisphere, it's going to be the longest day. Comes in at 7:58 a.m. Pacific, June 21st. If you're in Australia, like many of my dearests are, it'll be the shortest day for you. You're going to start getting lots of really good sleep. For us here in the northern hemisphere, the days are long, and if you're like me in northern Oregon and you don't have blackout, well, I do have blackout blinds, but before I put them up, oh my goodness, you just don't get much sleep, because the light just, it comes in around the blinds and wakes you up. So blackout blinds are essential. Or extra sheets pinned up, whatever you got to do, man. Take care of yourself, because sleep really, really matters. So we have this grand water trine. You can see I highlighted it in here because it lasts all the way through the 30th. And it is pivotal because, here we have the sun at 0 degrees Cancer. And it is almost in an exact trine to the South Node, and as every day clocks forward, it's moving towards an exact trine to Saturn. So the energy that sets off the summer solstice, the energy that sets off our summer in the Northern Hemisphere has to do with nurturing, healing the past, transforming the past, and stabilizing a brand new spiritual foundation. This is excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. And then, so wherever this is in your chart, just go to your natal chart and see where this configuration lies, and those houses will be where you can get the most accomplished, or where the work can be the most, where you can lay that foundation, basically the easiest. So anyway, back to what's going on with the moon. Notice we have the moon conjunct Venus and Mars, and the moon's going to keep moving together. So now there's much, much more feeling to the heart and core essence. The heart is growing and opening. And yeah, we still have the squares, to Uranus here with the moon, but to Mars and Venus, we have some little things, but it's no big deal. Now, one thing that is important is this quincunx here to Saturn. And you can see the moon's at 8, Saturn's at 7. So even earlier, much earlier in the morning, you might wake up feeling that there's some adjustments that need to be made in order to nurture your happiness coming from your core, coming from your inner being, and then to lay that spiritual foundation. Because just think of Saturn as bringing in form. It can delay things and it can limit things, and you might even feel a little you might be doubting yourself. There might be a little inhibition coming through. You can feel like there's a lot of burden, and maybe there's some fears coming up. But Saturn helps us learn from trial and error. It helps us to master something in our lives. It's the teacher, right? Sometimes it's called the great taskmaster. Sometimes it's called the teacher. It's hard work. It comes from, if we commit to something, so if we commit to our spiritual paths, and we want to heal our karmic past, and we want to move forward in a whole brand new way so that our intuition and psychic abilities open up, and we know how to love ourselves through anything and nurture ourselves through anything, then you'll be using the energy and consciousness that the cosmos is holding space for at this point. Let's see, what else from the moon? No, that's about it. So I'm going to go ahead and move forward. I don't really have anything more to say there. That hasn't already been said, actually. Okay, so Thursday, we have a lot of action coming off of so the moon is now in between Venus and Mars. So you might have a lot of heart opening around going for what you love, and because you've made some comparisons about what you do love and what you don't love, and there's those commitment issues that I spoke to. We still have that grand water trine going on, like I said, and it comes back to opening your heart to your gifts and having the courage to bring them through. And you don't have to be perfect. You don't ever have to know everything. And your relationships will help you learn more, grow more, open up, and support you. Let's see, anything else with the moon? Well, because it's in that tight orb. Yeah, so changes. Okay, so with the moon and Mars conjunct in Leo, you see the double square here to Uranus. So Uranus and Taurus is really good for inventing new ways, new things that make us safer. Taurus wants security. It wants to be faithful to its principles. And with Venus here in Leo, its principles are aligned with love. Now with the Moon and Mars and all those lessons that came through, all week long, we now know which way we want to go. And it may be very instinctual because, we've got Leo to Aries here. So it's fire energy that's instinctual, and you feel it in your core and in your heart, and it just, there it is. So surprising changes, surprising awarenesses may come through Thursday. So that's really nice. So, okay, let me go ahead and move forward to Friday. And the moon's in Virgo. And I clocked it at 5 a.m. to get it to 0 degrees there. And it's in the aspect of the architect coming off of the North Node. And it's still, my goodness, look at all these trines we have coming off of, because the moon's still connected to Chiron, Eris, North Node, and then sextiling the South Node. So now we have this opportunity to pick up something from the past, the wisdom of the past. Being in Scorpio with the South Node in Scorpio, we're coming from a place where it might be kind of intense sometimes, and we're learning how to trust ourselves. We might be having intimacy issues come up, and we might be a little afeared sometimes of betrayal. But the moon in Virgo, just be careful about anxiety, because there is a connection here. If you feel anxiety coming up, just do a lot of deep breathing. Remember, get back into your body. With Jupiter and Taurus and the North Node in Taurus, it's all very body-oriented. And you can see we still have the Grand Water trying to help us heal. The emotional body connected to the spirit. Everything is on the table for healing. And with these, we have an aspect of the architect here and the other one here. We actually have, it's almost a mystic rectangle going on here. I usually don't clock those in natal charts, but Saturn and Jupiter back to, right. So it's everything I've been saying for the longest time, that if you've been working on your spiritual path for quite some time, you are finally going to start seeing some progress. And if you haven't, if these dirty politicians think they're going to get away with things, they're going to be caught, and it's going to come out. They might not live through it to make it to prison, but they will be exposed, because with the exposing comes here through Uranus and Mars and Venus. On the most negative side of Mars and Venus in Leo would be ignorance in action, and narcissism abound. Narcissism and psychopathy abound. But we will see it, right? Because some people, if you're like Steve Bannon, they just want to blow shit up. They don't care. It's all about just breaking things apart. So yeah, there's an example of someone with some hard lessons to focus to deal with. But for us, we're just fine. And with the moon in Virgo is going to bring through the ability to get into something that's very useful, something that brings in some divine order. So for the next 2.5 days, even in through Sunday, we're going beyond this week, we're going to have a lot of attention to detail. We're going to be trying to bring in, like I said, divine order, do things that are useful. Virgo is so good for making things work right, getting into the details. It's like in the tarot, the Eight of Pentacles, the worky card, that's very Virgo oriented. And then on another level too, with Virgo, the only thing to be careful of there is to worry about being perfect. And I say that especially because we do have the inconjunct quincunx here coming off of Pluto. So if you think you have to be perfect in order to put yourself out there, think again. Just let it go. Feel the fear and do it anyway. It doesn't matter if you make mistakes. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I have, and anybody can relate to this, where you're watching a comedian and they're talking about their imperfections, and it's so funny. It's just absolutely hilarious. So, things like that. We love people when they show their vulnerability, more so than when they're trying to be perfect, right? And if you're involved in any type of art, which is very likely, and I think it's a work of art to do the dishes and do the laundry and do things around the house. So I don't judge what art is, but there's a lot of inspiration that can come through. And it might, with Virgo, might come through the written word. And remember, Virgo is ruled by Mercury, and Mercury's in Gemini. So it's going through this last decan of Gemini. So there's even though there's not a connection to the moon yet, it's good. There's a lot of energy there for that. So writing. Any work that is detail-oriented, any work that has to do with tracking patterns, any work that has to do with discerning the truth. And you'll have the support of experience of the past and the graceful ease that can come from your gifts and you jumping on board with the courage that Eris is there holding space for all of us to just go for it. Even if it is 2 steps forward and 1 step back, or with the sun in Cancer crabbing along side to side. Even if that's the way things are going, it's okay. It's all right. Just do your work to bring it through. So I think that's it for Friday. Oh, the moon. Oh, yeah, check it out. Hold on. Let me color this in real quick. We have a kite going on here. I love it. Okay. So the moon is at the point, well, it's not the pivotal point because the tail is actually a pivotal point. So Saturn in Pisces holding the tail is guiding the direction for things that you can grab hold of. So everything I just said is really reinforced. And then with the moon sextiling the sun and the south node, again, it's, to grow. This has to do with details, tracking patterns, and ways that you can grow because, of course, Cancer is all about growing. So whatever you're working on growing, you'll have the wisdom and ease coming from the past and the opportunities to bring it forward. And Saturn can really help you create that spiritual foundation. For artists, and like I said, I don't judge what any art is, you'll be able to immerse yourself in it very deeply with Saturn and Pisces there. That's awesome. Okay, so then let's move on to Saturday. And the moon's still in Virgo. The only aspect that's strong, I'm not going to mess around with the sesqui square there, but with the moon back here, see it's at 12. So we have a trine to Jupiter. This is very, very good because Jupiter in Taurus really wants to create something solid, and the moon in Virgo wants to get into the details as to, the nuts and bolts of things and how to make that work. I love it. So I think that Saturday is a continuation of Friday's great aspects, and that kite aspect especially. And yeah. Oh, and then we still have. Don't forget that Grand Water Trine that lasts all the way through July. Is it? Wait, is that the one that goes through July 13th, or is it the 30th? I forget. Oh well, we'll look at it next week. But it's still here. Well, let's see, 2 to 7. Yeah, no, it's going to be at least another 5 days with the sun at this end, and it's already. Well, so what's going to happen is the trine to the south node is going to fall out because it's already 1 degree off. Give it another 3 days or so. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, it's going to fall off at this end, but we're still going to have the sun trine to Saturn going on, which is really good for building something from, again, that solid spiritual foundation, which is you and your connection to who you truly are. For all of you babies born with Saturn in Pisces, and you're approaching, or you're in your second Saturn return, so if you're between the ages of 57 to 59, you're smack in the middle of it, and boy, talk about coming home to yourself. Awesome. Okay, so I think I'm done then for this week. Oh wait, no, I'm not. I lied. Well, so this was building up. The moon is opposing Saturn, so there's a choice point here, and it was building up on Friday, but by Saturday morning, it's moving out of orb, but it's still there. So maybe there's a breakthrough by Saturday morning, and maybe you're kind of sitting in a tension field because you're working with the details. And then by Saturday, something breaks through. So that's excellent. Okay, well, that's it, you guys. Big hugs as always, and take good care. Have an awesome week. Bye.